Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, my dear brothers and sisters. Welcome to your program Seeking Guidance with Sheikh Kahlan Al Kharusi, the Assistant Grand Mufti of the Sultanate of Oman. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Sheikh Hatim, thank you very much for having me with you here, and allow me to welcome all our audience. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May Allah the Almighty guide us all to the right path, shower our lives with His mercy, and enrich our knowledge in His religion.
Ameen. Sheikh, today we have a very interesting topic, which is the purpose of life. I'm sure this question is always in the mind of millions of people around the globe. What is the purpose of life? And where can we find this purpose of life? So we start off, Sheikh, is there a purpose of life?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All praise be to Allah, peace and blessings be upon His last messenger. Indeed, this is a very important question, Sheikh Hatim. Yet, the answer is very simple, very direct forward. Yes, there must be a purpose for this life, and we have not been left without informing us with this purpose in the Holy Quran. And once we grasp this purpose and meaning of life, everything becomes clear for us, harmonious, peaceful, and we can taste the sweetness behind knowing that our life has a purpose.
Yes.
The question is, what is the purpose of this life? As per the Quranic perspective, this has been explained very explicitly right from the beginning. When Allah the Almighty has created Adam, the father of all children of Adam, He has informed us that the plan for this human being about to be created is to be a Khalifa on this earth. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi Khalifa. I am going to place, let's put it this way now,
yes,
a Khalifa on earth. Allah the Almighty is informing the angels, His creation, that He is about to create a human being, and He is about to place him as a Khalifa on this earth. Now this word, this description of a human being to be created, summarizes the meaning of life, the meaning of our life on this earth.
Maybe, Sheikh, if you can elaborate on the word
Khalifa means here,
yes,
a custodian,
yes,
representative, a trustee on this earth. Now, it contains all the meanings of the words that I have used.
yes.
Perhaps the best to make the meaning closer is a custodian, because a custodian is representing an authority and at the same time playing a role, and there is a continuous responsibility that he or she has to take. So, what is it that we are responsible for? If we are talking about a custodian, then we have to be a custodian of something. We are a custodian of this life. We are a custodian of this universe. How is that? Through constructing it, achieving prosperity, through making good out of it, living a harmonious life, representing the higher authority, the supreme authority, the divine, who has created us and placed us on this earth to fulfill these responsibilities.
So you mean, Sheikh, sorry to interrupt you, so you mean if a human being constructs, develops, and has prosperity in this life, but he does not follow a divine supreme power, then he is no longer a Khalifa?
He is not fulfilling the meaning of Khalifa. He is not fulfilling the meaning of his existence in this life. he or she.
Yes.
But I have to complete my argument here.
Yes.
Now the purpose, the ultimate purpose, is to be a custodian on this life, to be responsible for all the good and construction and interest in this life. How is this achieved is also not left in the Holy Quran without explanation. This has to be through the means of acts of worship. And that's why we find many Muslim scholars, many people who are talking about the meaning of the Quran, they say that the purpose of a human being is to worship Allah. Why is that? Because Allah again in the Holy Quran says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I haven't created jinn and ins except for the purpose of worshipping me. Actually, worshipping Him is the means by which the purpose is served and fulfilled.
So worshipping does not mean only rituals.
It doesn't mean rituals. That is again a mistake that many people are making, because the concept of worship is a very comprehensive, a very encompassing concept in the Quranic use. But here we have to set things in order. So what is the purpose of life? It is to be custodian in this life. What does it mean to be a custodian in this life? It means to construct, to achieve prosperity, happiness, comfort, harmonious relationship, and a peaceful existence in this life. To fulfill the commandments of the supreme authority, the divine, our creator, who has enrolled us with this assignment, who has blessed us with this assignment, with being vicegerent of Him on earth.
Yes.
How can we achieve this? Through the acts of worship. The means by which we can achieve this responsibility is through the acts of worship. What does it mean to worship Allah? Does it mean through the spiritual virtues that we are performing? Of course not. Although it is an essential part of it, and from an Islamic perspective, one cannot fulfill this commandment without these rituals. But the concept of acts of worship, of worshipping Allah the Almighty, is more comprehensive than what people think of. Every single act, even seeking provision in this life, going to work, serving others,
it's an act of worship.
Are acts of worship. Being kind to others, being generous to others, remove any sadness from the hearts of those who are experiencing calamities and difficulties is an act of worship. Smiling in the face of your fellow Muslim, fellow human being,
yes,
is an act of worship. Removing dirt from the path of people is an act of worship. And I'm not saying this out of my mind. There are prophetic narrations and Quranic verses that I am relying on. In one occasion, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Al-imanu bid'un wa sab'una shu'bah. I'm going to translate this after quoting the narration first.
Inshallah.
أعلاها لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. أدناها إماطة الأذى عن الطريق. والحياء شعبة من شعب الإيمان. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that faith is something and 70 baths, shu'bah, like a tariq,
paths,
like a bath.
Yeah.
The highest above all is the statement of faith. La ilaha illallah, no God except Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah.
Yes.
And the lowest of all is removing an obstacle from the road.
The path or the road of people. Yeah.
And then he added, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam adds that being shy is actually an act of worship as well. Now here we have 3 acts
which are very different.
That are very different.
Yes.
The first one is the testimony of faith. So this has to do with faith, with one's belief. And then with a doing, an act,
practical,
physical, practical action, which is, and here Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is giving the lowest action that one can imagine, which is just to kick with your leg, with your feet, an obstacle from the road, with the intention of removing this obstacle, not to harm anybody, to remove this harm from the road. And then, so this is a practical action, physical practical action. And then he gave another example of a very natural quality. He says shyness, a character.
Yes.
An indication for morals. So we have faith, we have actions, we have morality. All of these are to encompass the concept of acts of worship, of ibadah in our minds. Now back to the main issue. What is the purpose of life? The purpose of life is to be custodian, to be responsible for this life, to spread good in this life, to construct this life, to avoid all destructive factors and elements from this life, to assist others, to help others, to realize that you do have responsibilities in this life. And that's why, to fulfill this role, Allah the Almighty has made it in the Holy Quran very clear that it is only Him who has dignified human being. All human beings, all children of Adam are dignified. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We have dignified, we have elevated high human beings, the children of Adam. It is a gift from Allah alone, not from anybody else. Why are they different than any other creatures? Because they have been assigned to a certain purpose in this life to serve. Once they do realize this fact and their role in this life, now they can understand whatever is going to hit them in this life, whatever challenges that they are going to be experience, whatever difficulties that they are going to experience, whatever good things that they are going to be eager for and spread within people's life. And through this scope, they can understand their role in this life and why have they been given all these assignments and why are they different from any other creatures in this life.
Now, Sheikh, for human beings, they have these existential questions like, where did I come from? What is my purpose? Where am I heading? Why am I here in the first place? So how does Islam address these questions? And they will obviously lead to the purpose of life.
Islam has addressed this question through different approaches. One of the approaches that Islam has actually tackled right from the beginning is through the faculties that Allah the Almighty has provided human beings with. They have intellect, so they can use their minds, their intellect, in understanding the purposes of everything around them. There isn't any single action that they are doing without any purpose. Nothing that they are utilizing doesn't have any purpose. Now, this chair that you are sitting in, yes, we are sitting in these chairs, it does have a purpose. The manufacturer, right from the beginning, has designed it and hammered it to serve a purpose. The devices that we are using are made to serve a certain purpose. Everything around us that we are utilizing does have a purpose. So it cannot be that this universe, this human being, when he was, as we already said, placed to be a custodian in this life, and he has given these faculties, and everything around him is utilized to serve him, to fulfill this purpose, and then we will conclude that human being has no purpose in their life.
Yes.
It cannot be. They are contracting themselves. That's why people who have this existential approach, they are contradicting themselves. Because
which leads to a crisis.
Now their own argument is against their claim. because they are raising this argument to prove they have a purpose of raising this argument. So their argument is to prove that human beings do not have and they do not need any purpose. There is no meaning of life. While all the means that they are using, all the intellect that they are using, whatever they are compiling or authoring, is to convince others. So they do have a purpose in setting this argument forth.
Yes.
Now they are contradicting itself. It's like, some of them, and we may move to what is known as nihilism.
Yes.
People of those who think that there is no purpose of whatsoever nature for a human being, and accordingly they claim that even self-determination, even choices, we do not have the choice. Yet they write books in which they are trying to convince you of their point of view. Now, if I do not have self-determination, why are you trying to convince me? Because I'm already set within my own genes to have no choice.
But this is a crisis, Sheikh. This crisis, even young people, normal people who are not so intellectual fall into this crisis because of these ideas running in their mind.
Absolutely. It is a crisis because they are contradicting the mere nature of a human being and the basic tenets of the existence of a human being. Why is he dignified? Why is he pursuing knowledge and science? Because they know, human beings, that through advancing knowledge and science, they will achieve more prosperity, they will make life more easy, they will overcome the challenges. Now this is the meaning of trusteeship that Allah the Almighty has blessed us on. It is to challenge, to overcome the challenges, to face and encounter the difficulties, to use our faculties in more advancements, to provide more prosperity, and to fulfill our needs. Now, if this is true for the intellectual faculties, then definitely it is true for improving our souls and our spirits through, as I said, the morals and the spirituality that we are also seeking in order to advance and purify our souls. And that's why you find in the Holy Quran that Allah the Almighty, when describing the message of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as he has described the messages of all prophets and messengers sent to him for nations before this nation, he says that they are teaching people, guiding them, purifying their souls. The purity required here is to grow and advance even spirituality. In spiritual sense, one should advance. And that's why we can understand how Allah the Almighty has made this life, according to the Islamic perspective, a test. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. Let's assume that we are just programmed in this life. We do not have any determination, we do not have any choice, and because of that we do not feel any suffer. How can we advance? No way. We are just programmed.
We are comfortable.
We are programmed. We do not even feel the
suffering
joy
and pain.
Absolutely, of overcoming suffer and pain, of removing pain from others, from our hearts, being patient, being kind, being merciful, showing sympathy to others, trying to find solutions, advancing our knowledge and science, because we are already programmed in a certain way, as it is with any device with any intellectual device that we are using and we have already programmed. It doesn't feel. It is just what you are feeding it with. But human beings are different. They are programming devices. They are utilizing whatever Allah the Almighty has enabled us to utilize in this universe. And He has utilized everything on this earth and in heavens. Everything in this universe is meant to serve human beings because they are dignified. And that's why the point that you have raised,
yes,
for those people who are ignoring these facts, they are going to contradict themselves, their own nature, they are going to live in a very unharmonious relationship with others. They will not be able to bring things into context. The physical, the material world, the spiritual world, the intellectual world, and our relationship with others. So the issue of realizing the purpose of life is very important, is the essence through which we can judge the world around us, place ourselves in a certain situation, and realize the fact that we are worshipping Allah through all the actions and deeds that we are doing, not only through the rituals that Allah has commanded us to perform as obligatory actions, but through all what we are doing and experience, to the extent that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has said that even having a marital intercourse with one's wife, with his own wife, is rewarded for this action.
It's an act of worship.
It's an act of worship. Feeding his own family, seeking provision for his own family. All these are acts of worship. So the concept here, now let's tackle some issues. Seeking knowledge, learning as an example.
Yes.
This is one of the highest acts of worship praised in the Holy Quran and in the prophetic traditions. Because seeking knowledge is a way by which we open our hearts and our vision to all the wisdom behind this creation, all the purposes behind what is around us, and how to be better persons, how to benefit ourselves and others in this life, how to come closer to Allah the Almighty, who has enabled us with these faculties to discover the secrets of life. And that's why seeking knowledge, learning, has been placed high in Islamic perspective. So for those who are also learning, studying, without knowing,
like the young people, Sheikh,
young
they might
people.
be struggling in finding their careers or choosing their studies. So how can Islam guide them in finding the purpose in what they do?
Already the purpose is set.
Yeah.
How can they understand this purpose and make use of it? It starts here in the hearts. They have to have the intention required. And the basic intention here is to remove ignorance. Now, why are we learning? Why are we studying? Because we want to fight ignorance.
Yes.
Ignorance is the first enemy of a human being. So this is the basic, this is the minimum level that we should always associate. So first of all, to remove ignorance.
Yes.
Second, to know more. And if we know more, then we can provide solutions. We can enrich our life. We can achieve better prosperity. Even for some worldly aims that one might think that this has nothing to do with acts of worship, they are wrong, like being able to find a good career and to provide provision for myself and my family. This by itself is a sound aim, a sound purpose that one is rewarded for. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam once in a gathering with his companion, and a man passed by, and he looks very musculous, very fit, and the companion said, some of them said, now if this person was in the struggle for the path of Allah the Almighty, and they talked about this, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained to them that if this person has gone out to seek maintenance and provision for his family, then he is indeed in the path of Allah the Almighty. So whatever we consider to be of worldly acts, then we find that in Islam it has been considered as an act of worship by which we are rewarded once we have a good intention. So for any learner, for any student, let them have these intentions, but they cannot just seek knowledge without purpose. They have to realize that the purpose of what they are doing is, as I said, to fight ignorance, to benefit themselves, to benefit their society and their country, to benefit human beings, to be able to have a good career from which they can get good provision.
Yes.
They can thrive and develop their skills. They can benefit others. So they can fight poverty. They can help others. Endless list of purposes that are derived from the main and ultimate goal of the existence of human being in this life as per the Quranic perspective.
Now, Sheikh, are there any specific rituals that one might do to get, a clear purpose of what career, what path that they should take, what meaning they should have in life, and where should they contribute in this whole cycle that we're speaking about?
Right. First of all, we need to have the right approach. It is very important. Sometimes, even for Muslims, they know, they feel, but they are unable to set the principle in the right order.
Yes.
And in very easy approach, there is, let's say, a fundamental principle that any believer should set, any Muslim should set for himself or for herself in order to be able to realize his role in this life. Once he realizes the role, as I said, he is responsible in this life. He is responsible for the life itself, to make it better, to help himself and help others, to serve good purposes, to achieve advancement. Now, how can he or she play this role, fulfill this assignment?
Yes.
As I said, through setting the right, let's say, perspective. In brief, this perspective consists of, number one, to have a firm faith that Allah is the only creator. Because once we admit this fact, we realize that everything else is created. It is only Allah who is the creator, and everything else is created. Second, if He is the creator, if Allah is the creator, then His is all commandments, judgments, authority, decisions, and rulings. Only from Him we receive rulings, guidelines, instructions, commandments. Why is that? Because He is the creator. He is the manufacturer.
So the only source of commands and principles and guidance
is Allah, the Almighty.
Subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Now, in comparison, as just to give an example, for whatever device that we are using, we are going to be abiding by the rules set and instructions set by the manufacturer.
Yes.
Once we try to play with this device and its softwares or hardwares, then definitely we are going to lose something. At least we are going to lose the warranty. At least. We may think...
When we try to manipulate.
When we try to manipulate and change and try to put our inputs not following the instructions of the manufacturer, we may gain something, but we are going to lose a lot of things. Now, if we are talking about devices made by human beings and related to some, as I said, devices used for certain purposes, and this is the consequences that we may encounter, what is going to be the situation if we place ourselves in the divine authority status and claim that we can set for ourselves the set of rulings and instructions by which we can experience happiness and serve the meaning of life.
Yes.
Definitely we are going to fail because we have limited faculties, limited intellects, limited spirituality, limited sources. We do not know what we know compared to what we do not know. There's no comparison. I mean, even scientifically, the percentage is said to be no more than 3%. What we know compared to what we do not know. And the more they discover more of everything, in science, astronomy, medicine, whatever, you name it, the percentage is becoming less of what we know, because they discover that what they haven't known is much more beyond what they have imagined before knowing this or discovering these discoveries. So if all human beings, what they know compared to what they do not know is no more than 3%, how can they set for themselves?
Yes.
And this is not a claim made by religious people. This is scientists, atheist scientists, they say. The more they discover their ignorance. And the secrets in this universe and the laws they are out there are far beyond their expectations. And that's why the percentage is becoming less and less. So how can they set for themselves what they might think that, or they might argue that is better for themselves, while Allah the Almighty has saved all these efforts for them? And He said, listen, if you want to live good life with happiness, with comfort, with peace, with harmonious relationship, then these are the guidelines. And it's not only going to leave you with happiness in this life, but also in the life to come. If you want to avoid calamities, suffer, pain, then these are what you should follow. These are the guidelines and instructions that are going to benefit you, not only in this life, and also it's going to save you from punishment in the life to come. Then how can we leave this behind and make our minds, our intellects, limited faculties to set for us this criterion? And that's why the second principle, as I said, in this perspective, is to have faith that commandments is His, instructions is His, because He is the supreme, He is the divine, He is the infallible, He is the creator. The third principle here is that life actually is not limited to this worldly life. In the Islamic perspective or the Quranic perspective, life continues to the hereafter.
This is just a temporary life.
This is just a temporary life, but it is a life of action, and after it comes unlimited life of reward. So, with whatever we are experiencing here, realizing the fact that it is whatever we are doing in this life is within the concept of worship, which means that it is going to be weighed, we are going to be rewarded for, then we will receive that in the hereafter, the unlimited life. Then we will have no complaint about what we are experiencing of challenges, of suffering, of pain, because even our morals are tested. Our spirituality is tested. As we are challenged through the scientific pursuit, we will have problems, we will have issues, we want to invent something, then our intellectual faculties are going to be challenged through these formulas, equations, scientific pursuit. Again, the same thing is going to happen to our morality and our spirituality. We will be tested. And that's why Allah the Almighty has set this life to be a test for us.
Yes.
Which means that we have to overcome. We have to be successful. We have to show our best of morality and spirituality once we are facing this. That's why the continuity of life makes it very easy for us to encounter whatever, as I said, hits us in this life. All calamities, all hardships that we are going to experience, we do know
we can
that
overcome.
We can overcome because there is another life. With whatever also injustice that we might be vulnerable to, then we do know that there is a supreme court in the life to come that is just and fair, and we will achieve justice. And this is something that those who follow nihilism, as an example, cannot provide, because that's it. It's only this life. So those who has experienced injustice and pain from others, if they haven't been able to achieve justice in this life, that's it. They do not have any hope. They don't have any source of hope that would enable them to carry on this life. But for those who do believe in the hereafter and the ultimate justice of Allah the Almighty in the Supreme Court in the hereafter, they still have hope. If they are unable to achieve justice in this life, they will achieve it in the life to come. Right, principle number 4, just to make long story short.
Yes.
In brief, all elements of life, all this diversity in our life, be it in the creation of human being, in animal kingdom, in whatever is around us, is meant to be complementing one another or each other. Is not meant to contradict each other. Is meant to be coherent and harmonious in this life.
Synchronize together.
To synchronize together. Now let me give a very simple example.
Yes.
Males and females. They are not meant, they are created in males and females. Human beings are created in males and females, not to fight each other, not to compete each other, but to complete each other.
They complement one another.
They complement one another.
Yes.
They are meant to serve each other, like all other elements in this life. So we are not in a challenge with nature. We are utilizing nature because it is created for us. And we are responsible for nature. We are responsible for this environment around us. We are responsible for fellow human beings. We are not competing with other human beings. We are with them in the same pursuit of constructing this life, looking after our interests, all our comprehensive interests, not our individual interests, even if it is at the account of other people, of other nations, of other countries, of other races, of other lands. No, it's not like that.
This is a very positive perspective which will kill animosity among human
Absolutely.
beings.
And this is the Quranic perspective. And that's why we will find, there are many evidence from the Holy Quran, from prophetic tradition, in which there is an emphasis given to this meaning. We are not, and unfortunately, people nowadays, because they got the notion that they are competing life, that's why they are, even in their language, they'll find if they want to explore the space, they are going to name the spaceship as Challenger. Challenging whom and what? They are just discovering, utilizing some laws and formulas that Allah has set,
Yes.
and using their faculties and minds, their advancements, to reach this achievement. So they are actually, if they are not in harmony with with nature, they wouldn't be able to explore the universe.
Yes.
So
if Allah did not allow them, they wouldn't be.
They
able
wouldn't,
to.
and if they haven't utilized the laws set in this in nature, they wouldn't be able. So they are utilizing, they are integrating their systems, their programs, their devices to be within the laws of nature. So they are not challenging, but that's, unfortunately, this is based upon a worldview that is contradicting the Quranic worldview. Now, even talking about natural sources as an example, why do we have to fight each other if we can assist each other, help each other,
Share.
and share these natural resources, and at the same time make whatever we want, our projects, our plans, to serve humanity and to avoid corruption from this life, to avoid whatever is going to cause human beings to suffer. But unfortunately, we already talked in another episode regarding the arrogance and envy and all the heart diseases. Now, the last principle in this perspective,
Inshallah.
human beings are equally dignified by Allah the Almighty alone, not by any other human beings. And they are assigned for the role of custodianship. Now, you see the order. Allah is the only creator.
Yes.
He is the only commander and the supreme authority. Life around us is to serve us in a harmonious way and in a coherent way. We are not meant to challenge each other and fight each other. We will conclude that to understand the purpose of life in its framework, that human beings are dignified and assigned for this role of constructing this life and being responsible for this life. Now, once we have this overview, worldview, we can utilize this with whatever, even simple action that we are doing, like studying, working, serving our families, serving our community or our society, doing any social charity that we are doing, helping or assisting others, showing sympathy to others, trying to overcome some of the difficulties and hardships that we are encountering.
Yes.
Allah the Almighty has made it very clear that we are going to experience loss of souls, shortage of wealth. We will be tested through diseases and pandemics.
Yes.
Yet how we, in the same passage, he says, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Now they are reminding themselves, convey good tidings, good news to those who are patient, those who say that we belong to Allah and we shall return back to Him. Now this short sentence, الذين يقولون وإذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. This statement of them, إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون, we belong to Allah and we shall return to Him, summarizes this Quranic perspective that I was describing. We are created by Allah, so we are from Him.
Yes.
And everything is from Him. Commandments are from Him. The plan and wisdom is from Him. And we shall return back to Him. So it is not end of life. It is not end of everything. End of hope. End of our actions. We shall return to Him. And who is Him? The most kind, the most merciful, the most compassionate, the all-wise, the all-knowing.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Kahlan bin Al Kharusi, for your insight on today's topic.
Thank you very much, Sheikh.
And thank you very much to all our listeners and viewers for being with us throughout the show. Inshallah, we continue our journey with wisdom with Sheikh Kahlan in seeking guidance with me, your host, Hatim Al Abdissalaam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.